Confidential podcast. Today's guest is Sarah Brohm. She's the visionary founder and principal designer of UA Designs, a full-service luxury interior design firm rooted in elegance, functionality, and heart. She also happens to live in my neighborhood. And we've met recently and instantly connected, being a female entrepreneur, business owner, and a mother with all the juggles. Sarah, thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, we are excited too, because our community is a mix of entrepreneurs and business people, attorneys, professionals, a lot of busy people who would love to have beautiful home design or office design. Your home space and where you work are such important parts to how we live and your mental health and how you operate and how clients perceive. So it's such an important part. However, it is one that I feel like most professionals and business people don't have the time for. So can you give us some tips? I know we're going right into it, but what are some tips for people who are so busy, but design and having space around them is important? Do you have any advice for people like that?
Absolutely. We do tend to work with busy professionals for all the reasons that you listed. The fact that there are, two people that are busy with their job, dealing with stuff full time. And so being able to outsource this piece, which if you really want an elevated design, does take a lot of intentionality and it takes time to curate. And so we do end up doing that for people. It's my full-time job. So we do everything from seasonal decor all the way to, full home renovations. We do kitchens and baths. In terms of wellness, and you're so affected by your environment. I know I feel more at peace when my house is in order. We talk a lot about functional beauty, not just having something that is beautiful, because then it might not stay that way if it doesn't have the function piece. But if it's just function and it has no form to it, then it can be sterile. So we want to marry those two things. Everyone has toys, everyone has mess, everyone has clutter. We just want to find homes for those things so that the space is inviting, it's welcoming, and then it actually helps your mind. It helps you to turn off. When you look around at your environment, it creates not only this pleasing environment, but it also creates an atmosphere of peace. We do a lot with wellness. Actually, I think it's really interesting that you're bringing it up. Everyone is moving in that direction, everything from LEED certified to WELL certifications, where we can do everything from checking your air filters and making sure that your house is functional, because these homes are much tighter than they used to be. So that's great for your energy bill. But on the other hand, now all those toxins are staying in your home. So making sure we have good airflow. We do things like incorporating natural materials like plants. We make sure that we have things that are sustainable so that we minimize the carbon footprint. We have things that have less off-gassing, more natural materials than synthetic materials, because all of those things stay in your home. So we do try to move that airflow around and make sure that we incorporate those things in the design.
I never would have thought about it, but I think what ends up happening, especially as attorneys, you're on your computer all the time, you're in these office spaces, and you don't have time to kind of come up and think about not just visually what's around you, but also if the air in your office is clean, or if you're getting enough natural light, all those things that have a physical component. So it sounds like, I think we're assuming, and I know the answer to this, but for people who are saying, I'm too busy, right? What is the answer? And if people did want to start working with a designer, I think for many people, it's just another thing, right? They have to find the right person, or maybe they're micromanagers. So what are some of the first steps that people can make to get over that mental leap, whether it's thinking how expensive it's going to be, or I'm going to outsource something that I want to do because they're a micromanager? What's some of the advice that you give to people who have those roadblocks preventing them from working with a designer?
Sure. We do a lot of visualization throughout the process. So we are going to actually render the space for you, and we take the guesswork away. So if you are a micromanager, what we can do is design the room down to the minute detail and be able to showcase that to you so that it takes the guesswork away. So you're not worried about, oh my gosh, am I going to spend $200,000 on a renovation renovation and hate it. We can take some of that away. So that way, at least if you're moving forward in the direction that you're going to do it one time and you're going to do it correctly. In terms of outsourcing and having the time, we feel like, again, your home is one of your largest investments. At least it is for me in my household. And so being able to commit the time, just like you would commit to going to a doctor or going to a dentist, and do the things that are necessary, making the time for us. And we are taking it from a million options. We have such analysis paralysis in this day and age. Access to things is amazing. I love the fact that I can Amazon something right now and it'll show up on my doorstep at 4 a.m. But that becomes almost crippling sometimes because the options are endless. And so knowing what is the right option, what is the best option for the space, we can help with that. So we do try to limit you down from a million options to 3. And that makes it really easy. Do you like this sofa, this one, or this one? Do you want this fabric, or this fabric?
You're speaking my language.
And then we can move through a lot of decisions really quickly. Every renovation has no less than, hundreds of details. And so having a process, we have a proprietary process that takes that entire design, and we're going to walk you through step by step. So it's not going to feel overwhelming at any point. We're going to start with basic concept. Then we move through your actual finish selections. Then we're going to show you an actual visualization of what that space is going to be. We're going to help you refine your budget. Are we aligned budget wise? And then we're going to actually present a proposal for what it's going to take to get that job done. We're going to queue up all the contractors and all the preferred vendors that are necessary to get that job done. And then we move you right through project management, like organizing how that's going to happen, building your timeline. So yes, there is a time commitment of meeting with us, but when you're outsourcing all of those details, it's going to go from 7 questions, from 7,000 questions. And so hopefully we can truncate that for you.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. And I think it's the missing piece for so many people when you either work from home or you have your office space or even just your home in general.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's so many people who wish that they could do this, but they either just never do it or never get around to it. So for you, thank you for breaking that down and making it really easy. I think that's the key thing, Sarah. If you can take people's ideas and work with them and give them 3 options, you overcome the analysis paralysis, which is key.
Yeah.
So you and I have met before. We mastermind about being female business owners and mothers. Tell us a little bit about what made you start your business.
It's a little bit of a long story, but I'll try to move through it pretty quickly. So I always wanted to be an interior designer. That was my dream job as a young person, and it was something that I was really excited about. However, I ended up when high school, I ended up pregnant with my first son at 16, had him at 17. So I ended up actually dropping out of high school. And because of that, I'm like, oh, I'm not going to be able to do 6 years of schooling and make $30,000 a year, working 60 hours a week as I'm apprenticing as an architect. So what I ended up doing was I went to nursing school, but design was always a passion of mine. It was always something that was in my heart. And so it just kept kind of flowing out of me. All of a sudden I had clients before I knew what I was doing. All of a sudden I was doing renovations for friends and refinishing yard sale pics of all things. And then what I ended up doing was finding friends in the design community who helped me to, set up the structure of my business and, set up my trade accounts and understand the softwares that were necessary, understand what was industry standard. And then it just kind of grew from there before I even knew it was going to be an official thing. So it was such a wonderful, full circle story for me is, to go from 12-year-old Sarah to go through what I thought was oh, I guess that dream died. And then to have it realized and then to have it be my own, not having, it just happened that it was my own business. It started out small and now all of a sudden we're a team of 12 and we just continue to grow and change and kind of morph to the needs of the clients. We're constantly focused on the better client experience. And, we want to be good business people because the design is our business, but 80% of what we do is process. So it's really important that the 20%, design work is spectacular, of course, but a lot of people can do that. But the experience of moving through a renovation is typically very challenging. And so we try to make that experience enjoyable for our homeowner.
I love that life's curves have led to such beauty and abundance for you and having you really live the life that you were supposed to live and step into your own, Sarah. Thank you for sharing that. Do you feel that having challenges in your life has motivated you and pushed you to kind of step up and do hard things, if you will?
Sure. I mean, for anybody, challenge is a growth opportunity. Failure is such good learning opportunity. I know a lot of people learn from their successes, but man, if you've ever failed, you learn a lot, and you hold on to those messages. You're like, I never want to go back to there. I never want to experience that again. So the failures, I actually feel like were it taught me how to work hard. It taught me how to, step out of my comfort zone. I had to do all kinds of things I never thought I would have to do, like getting my GED and going to nursing school and working 3 jobs at the same time. And then also, so then when I moved into being an entrepreneur, I was already used to working really hard and juggling multiple things and having many tasks on my mind. And as an entrepreneur, you have to be able to pivot. You have to be able to, okay, this worked, it didn't work. Failure is a necessity when it comes to being an entrepreneur. I don't know a single entrepreneur who would disagree with that.
Well, that's like literally why I started doing this show, was because I was having wonderful conversations like offline or in person like we did.
Yeah.
But they're real, but it's not things that we necessarily post on Instagram or post on the website, but they have been so formative to who we've become. And especially for successful female entrepreneurs, you hit the nail on the head. There's not anyone that has not gone through something that has shaped them and made them become the person who they are. So thank you for sharing, because there are so many other people out there who probably will look to you as an inspiration. And I think by being really authentic and sharing your story and sharing all of our stories is going to help other people understand that challenge is part of the journey. It's how we grow. It's how we learn. It also is how we focus on the things that are important to us and step into the people who we're supposed to become. So, do you have any advice for anybody who is maybe they're working 3 jobs, or they are struggling because they're balancing what is their day-to-day realities, but maybe they have a dream or a pipe dream to do something that's calling them? What is your advice to those people?
It's hard to say in this seat, to move forward without fear, because it's not that I moved forward without fear. I definitely, there were times I was scared, and I did have a good support structure around me. But I do think that that's necessary, is to not let fear stop you. Fear is a good indicator, and it can help you it triggers like, okay, this is something to be cautious of. However, don't let it stop you. So anything I tend to be scared of, I tend to try to push through that thing, because I don't want fear to be crippling for me. In terms of pipe dreams and continue pressing on towards that, like I feel incredibly fortunate that this is my situation. I'm not sure it's everybody's situation. However, I have seen a couple commonalities in people who have been successful. People that tend to be successful are people who are humble. They tend to, and I'm not saying, listen, that just sounded like a reverse
but
brag,
you've seen some stuff. Like, you've been there. Like, yeah, for sure.
Like, you've gone through humbling. You understand that you could fail. So people that are humble, I do think people that are hardworking, like being able to do what it takes to kind of make it happen. There have been many nights where I'm up at 2 a.m. and then up again at 6, starting my next day. So just understanding that it's not all the highlight reel that you see on Instagram, that it does come from a lot of hard work and grit. And then also being kind. I know that sounds like a really simple thing, but just being, aware that you are human and that other people that you're dealing with are humans, and that we're going to make mistakes, and people that tend to be more collaborative and more problem focused, focus on, okay, what is the problem, and solution driven, rather than being somebody who is looking to blame other people. I just don't see a lot of really successful people finger pointing. So those tend to be commonalities that, being able to understand that I'm not going to do a perfect job, but I'm going to stand behind my work and have integrity in the things that I do. So those definitely seem to be commonalities in successful people. And again, I feel fortunate that you get to do your dream job. I get to do my dream job. Not everyone does, but I have seen those common threads in successful people.
And pushing through. I think, from what, your story and my story too, it was not easy, it was self-built. And I think it's so important for anyone who is thinking, oh, well, I can't do what they're doing. You can. It's a matter of finding the right resources, the right support, having the tribe around you, asking for help, and watching more motivational content like this. I hope we are firing people up. So
no, that's a really good point. I do think we're not going to be good at everything. And I love the idea of finding your tribe and finding people that can. I'm not going to be good at every skill, so I'm going to hire for those roles. I'm going to kind of fill those gaps because I don't need to have every one of those skills, but I do need to have it in my company. And so making sure that we're well-rounded as people, as a community, as a company, that's a really good point.
Absolutely. Well, Sarah, thank you so much for coming on the show today. Where can people connect with you? And importantly, where can they hire you? What's the locale that you serve?
Yeah. So we're located in Morris County, New Jersey. We do serve all of northern New Jersey. We have done a couple of things remote in other states. However, that's not our normal service area. You can find us on uadesigngroup.com. You can find us on Instagram. I'm happy to share all of that with you, Francesca, so that you can connect people. But we would love to work with people who are too busy professionals who are looking to kind of outsource this piece in their life. They want that beautiful design service.
Yes, I can't wait for you to come and help me. So thank you, Sarah. And thanks everyone for watching. We're here every Thursday and we'll see you next week. Bye.